Kobe Bryant might be the most misunderstood superstar in NBA history. Depending on who you ask, Kobe is either a top 5 lock, barely top 10, or widely overrated. And that alone should tell you something is wrong, because when you actually break down Kobe's career, not through highlights, not through narratives, but through era, competition, and difficulty, you start to realize something important. Kobe didn't have an easy path to greatness. He had the hardest one. Today, we're going to explain why Kobe Bryant's career is vastly underrated, and why the competition he faced is unmatched, and why when all context is applied, he absolutely belongs in everyone's top 5 players of all time. Now, context matters, and Kobe played in the least forgiving era for perimeter players. From the late 1990s through late 2000s, hand checking was legal. Zone defenses collapsed the paint, spacing was poor, big men controlled the game. League-wide scoring tells the story. In early 2000s, the average was 94 to 97 points per game. Today's NBA, it's 114 to 116 points per game. That is a massive difference. Yet, Kobe still dominated the league with his scoring throughout his whole career. You look at his final accomplishment, he had 33,000 career points, 4th all-time at his retirement. He had 81 points in a game, the highest game since Wilt Chamberlain, which was what, the 50s, 40s, whatever. 9 straight games of 40 plus. Averaged 36 points per game in 2005 and 2006, the highest since Michael Jordan. That 2006 season deserves special attention. Kobe scored 35% of his team's total points while being double teamed and triple teamed, playing with lineups that really had no spacing. Teams knew exactly what was coming, but they still couldn't stop it. That wasn't efficient offense. This was survival offense. The Lakers needed Kobe to dominate the game for them to win at this point. Now, let's talk about how Kobe faced the hardest competition in NBA history. This is the strongest case for Kobe's greatness, in my opinion. Kobe spent his entire career in the Western Conference during its most loaded era ever. From 1999 to 2012, the West featured Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Tracy McGrady, Ray Allen, Yao Ming, and Dwight Howard. These weren't just role players, these were MVPs, finals MVPs, and all-time legends. And here's the key point. Kobe had to beat them early, not in the finals, but in the first and second rounds. Every round in the playoffs in the Western Conference was a war, right? And he also beat these teams that would have been champions in other eras, right? You had the early 2000 Kings, the Steve Nash era Suns, the Spurs dynasty, Dirk's Mavericks. These teams weren't almost great. They were historically elite teams that peaked at the same time as Kobe. In a weaker era or conference, many of them would have won championships. Kobe didn't just survive them, he eliminated them repeatedly, right? And the big man era made Kobe's job harder. Kobe played during the greatest big man era ever. Every night he faced, players like Shaq, Duncan, Garnett, Dirk, Yao, Dwight. This mattered because driving lanes were crowded, rim protection was elite, physicality was constant. Yet Kobe dominated as a perimeter player in a league built for centers. That's historically rare, right? And defenses were designed to specifically stop Kobe. Kobe wasn't guarded by average defenders. He faced guys like Bruce Bowen, Ron Artest, Tony Allen, Sean Marion, Raja Bell, Doug Christie. These are guys who were designed just to stop Kobe Bryant. Entire defensive schemes existed solely to force Kobe into bad shots, wear him down physically, get the ball out of his hands. Despite that, Kobe averaged 28 points for his career, 25 points in 13 seasons. Elite playoff scoring against elite defenses. That is not overrated, that is elite, right? And I hate the argument where they say, oh, but he had Shaq. It's the most overused argument ever. Yes, Kobe played with Shaq, but Kobe was the closer in multiple finals. He averaged 29, 7, and 6, and three-peat in the three-peat playoff run. Dominated Western Conference playoff series. And after Shaq left, Kobe went on to win 2 more championships. He won a back-to-back finals MVPs, led teams through the same brutal West that I just talked about. Most stars never prove that they can win before and after a co-star. Kobe Bryant did that. Yet there's still people who have Shaquille O'Neal higher ranked than Kobe Bryant in their all-time list. When Kobe has done it without Shaq, and yes, Shaq did it one time with Dwayne Wade, but Kobe did it twice. He won back-to-back against a super team, basically, right? He went against Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Rondo, right? And his second best player was Paul Gasol. Now, one of the main reasons why people may leave Kobe out of their top 5, they would say efficiency. But Kobe's efficiency was elite relative to his era. So, we can't compare different eras and look at their efficiency when the game today, a lot of people's efficiency are way higher than in the early 2000s because of the defense was harder, right? People don't bring that context. They just like to look at stats, and stats lie because there's context in the stats. You have to bring out the context, right? Let's talk about Kobe's leadership. The people may say, oh, he wasn't a great leader. He wasn't friendly, right? He was demanding, and demanding leadership built champions, right? So some people may not think that's a good way of leading. I think that's a great way of leading. He demanded greatness from his players, from Pau Gasol. In my opinion, he built Pau Gasol into a championship player. Pau Gasol wasn't great without Kobe. He became great when he had Kobe, right? And another reasoning why they may not have Kobe in the top 5 is the Jordan comparisons. Being compared to Jordan isn't a knock. It's proof of how close Kobe became to the GOAT, right? In my opinion, I think Kobe's more skilled than Michael Jordan. I don't think he's greater. I think he's a better shooter than Jordan. I think he's a better defender, even though Jordan does have a Defensive Player of the Year. Kobe has the most in NBA history, the most all-NBA defensive teams. I'm pretty sure he's tied with Kevin Garnett or Tim Duncan, one of those. But people don't talk about that. People act like that's not a thing, okay? 12 all-NBA defensive teams. He took the toughest defensive assignments every game. And for 20 years, he had the responsibilities of being the top offensive player and defensive player. There's not many players that can say that for themselves. Okay? Now, before this video ends, let me say this clearly. I already know this is going to make some people uncomfortable. I believe Kobe Bryant is a top 3 player, right? And I saw some ESPN people don't even have Kobe in the top 10, which is outrageous. Outrageous. If you say Kobe isn't top 5, then you have to answer very specific questions. Who beat more Hall of Famers in their prime than Kobe? Who won 5 championships in the toughest conference ever? Who carried offenses in the most defensive era while guarding the best perimeter player every night? Because you can't just say efficiency and move on. You can't just say he had Shaq and ignore everything after 2004. And you definitely can't talk about era without acknowledging how much harder Kobe's era was to dominate. So here's the real debate. If Kobe's competition was tougher, if his era was more physical, if his offensive burden was heavier, why are his accomplishments judged harsher than everyone else's? And if Kobe Bryant played in today's spacing, pace, and rule set, how many points do you honestly think he'd average? Be real. Drop your top 5 all time in the comments. Tell me who you're removing to keep Kobe out and explain it. Don't duck the question, because loving basketball means respecting difficulty. And when you respect difficulty, it becomes very hard to leave Kobe Bryant out of the top 5, and in my opinion, the top 3. I honestly think Kobe's better than LeBron. Now debate me on that. I'll be in the comments. Now, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.